Humans are going to make mistakes, but the ball was dropped and somebody was killed. What do you plan to do about that?
A young woman is beaten to death. Police say her ex-boyfriend did it. Why Nashville's court system is sharing some of the blame.
A toddler's life ended when she got a hold of fentanyl.
Don't let that little girl die in vain.
Fox 17 News digging into the DCS case file, laying out who failed Ariel Rose.
And relentless reporting netting results. The action Nashville city leaders are taking after Fox 17 News exposes issues with fake taxi drivers. Fox 17 News at 9 starts now.
Middle Tennessee's only primetime news. This is Fox 17 News at 9, your Code Red station.
I get probably 30 or 40 calls a week from tourists complaining of the overcharging, and it just looks bad on the city.
In Operation Crime and Justice tonight, Fox 17 News relentless reporting prompting city leaders to address an issue putting locals and tourists at risk downtown.
Well, Nashville taxi companies telling Fox 17 News no one is regulating ride shares and taxis, allowing unlicensed operators to take fares. Fox 17 News' Caitlin Miller joining us live downtown, where city leaders are set to hold a meeting Friday after seeing our reporting. Caitlin, what's the latest?
Yes, well, we spoke with a few taxi companies today, and they say the blatant overcharging has gotten out of control. They say that's because several taxi drivers are not using their meters and they're getting away with it. Now, we've been staying on top of this issue and relentlessly following up. And because of that, a yellow cab manager and a Metro councilman told us that they're holding a meeting Friday with TLC to address these safety concerns. People flag down taxis every day in downtown Nashville.
These drivers are blatantly overcharging tourists and conventioners 5 and 6 times the rate. It's giving our city a bad name. I get probably 30 or 40 calls a week.
The manager of Yellow Cab says this issue is getting out of control because there's no accountability by the Tennessee Licensing Commission.
All it would take is maybe 2 or 3 times a week they put an employee of the TLC into a cab on Broadway or at Opryland or coming out of the airport, and when the driver overcharged them or didn't turn on that meter, boom.
Fox 17 News has requested an interview with the TLC countless times, but they keep declining. We want to know what they're doing to regulate taxis and ultimately address this major safety concern. The yellow cab manager wants a TLC employee to go undercover, take taxi rides, and suspend or revoke permits if drivers don't adhere to the law.
How much contact do you have with the TLC? Like, have you tried reaching out and suggesting that?
Plenty of times.
Another local taxi company, Nashville Checker Cab, is saying the same thing about the TLC.
They're in charge of regulation and enforcement, and they refuse to do anything. They say they're understaffed.
So what is it going to take for the TLC to do something? Fox 17 News continues to hear the horror stories.
It's kind of scary that the only option are people who seem like they want to hurt you or kidnap you or something.
But we have yet to get an answer from the TLC about any solutions. Again, because of our continuous reporting, the TLC, Metro Police, Metro Councilman Jacob Coupin, and taxi companies are meeting together Friday to address these safety concerns. Now, we hope to get answers as much as they do to keep Music City safe for both tourists and the people like us who live here. Reporting live from Midtown, I'm Caitlin Miller, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Caitlin, thank you. Obviously, this is a talk or affects a lot of people, and we want to know what you think. Does Nashville need more regulation and enforcement of taxis and ride-share drivers? 162 votes in, and 68.5% say yes, we need more of that. To cast your vote, scan the QR code right there on the right-hand side of your screen. It'll take you to our X page. Our handle is @Fox Nashville, and we will update these results for you later in the newscast.
Well, new tonight, a Sumner County community feeling helpless as they continue to see flood damage in their neighborhood year after year. Fox 17 News' Kylie Walker is in Cottontown with the latest.
Homeowners who live on Tyson Lane tell me this road has been impacted twice in the last couple of months. And in the last 2 weeks, this street looked unrecognizable, some comparing it to a running river as homeowners suffered thousands of dollars in damage. This is Shauna Hurt's house surrounded by water in May.
The water reached over 24 inches in the back area. Out front here, the water was approximately a foot deep.
And just as her family finished recovering from that storm, more flooding on June 30th, this time impacting more homes.
You have this feeling of hopelessness. You know, on the June 30th flood, I cried for hours.
She says she's not in a floodplain, but through our research, we found that FEMA does classify this street as a minimal risk. Hurt says the flooding issues go back to 2016 with more than $100,000 in damages.
You can see just the dates on the invoices here. This is 2017.
Hurt says this culvert on the side of her house is to blame.
Because of all of the development and building downstream, the water cannot flow out of here.
These emails here showing all the back and forth between Hertz and the city over the years.
The group that I was working with back in 2017, they were going to put together a plan to address the size of the culverts and look at putting in a detention pond so that it would help control the flow rate of the water. However, at the time, they were unable to secure the funds to do that.
We reached out to city leaders both by phone and email. We asked how they plan to alleviate the issues on this street. The city sent us a lengthy statement saying they understand the community's pain and they're actively working with city and state leaders to discuss mitigation efforts. And Hurt says if she doesn't see any changes, it really puts her family in a tough situation because it will be hard to move and escape this. As she says, her next door neighbors have tried to sell their house. They had buyers who then backed out after the most recent floods. In Cottontown, Kylie Walker, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Well, Katie, we've seen some extremely hot weather on top of some severe weather in some areas. So really a mixed bag this week.
It has been, and unfortunately, we're going to be looking at the heat to return coming up in a few days. I want to talk, though, about our tornado that we have confirmed from yesterday's event with the severe weather Megan was just talking about. This was an EF0 confirmed in Cumberland County, Kentucky, near Ferris Fork Road. It traveled just under a mile, and winds were at its highest around 85 miles per hour. So again, it was on the ground briefly, and that's what we were expecting. In these tropical systems, quite tricky. A lot of times we'll see these brief spin-ups. They'll drop for a mile or so and then they lift, and that's what we had in Cumberland County as far as yesterday goes. So one tornado for us here in our viewing area. The good news is quiet weather is the story. Broadway this evening is looking quiet, mild as well as we sit at 82 degrees under a mainly clear sky. The radar still pretty active, especially in the northeast. This is Beryl. This is what's left of Beryl, remnants that continue to push through portions of New England, dropping tornado warnings in an area in the country that are not as used to tornado warnings. So Beryl, just for the tornadic activity that we've had over the past 3 days, has been very impressive and will go down as a record for some, depending on where we had the activity. We'll talk more about that. In fact, I've got a really interesting graphic I want to show you coming up in just a little bit. Low temperatures tonight, right around 70 in Nashville. We're down to the low 60s out towards Cookeville and Crossville. We'll talk more about this extreme heat, though, that's on the way, unfortunately, when we could hit 100. That's in your Fox 17 Code Red forecast. Scott.
Katie, thank you. Also ahead, new information tonight from a state report about the conditions in the halfway house where little Ariel
Fox 17 investigates evidence in the state investigation into the death of Ariel Rose. The 23-month-old died of fentanyl exposure in November of 2022.
Tonight, Fox 17 News' Amanda Chen uncovers new details surrounding the toddler's death and the circumstances leading up to this tragedy.
Community advocates and leaders agree the system failed young Ariel Rose. This new 57-page report by the Department of Children's Services gives us a little more insight into her tragic death, including what Ariel possibly got a hold of. Ariel Rose's life cut short at just 23 months old.
My first thought was that baby got a hold of something. That baby got a hold of drugs.
The autopsy shows she died from fentanyl at High Road Place, a transitional housing center.
Why are they letting children come there? Why? I mean, I think there's enough blame to spread all over the place.
The Department of Children's Services releasing Ariel's death investigation over a year and a half later. The report shows Ariel's aunt had legal custody of her, stemming from a DCS investigation that began in March of 2022. Keep in mind, body camera footage Fox 17 News received shows Ariel inside Brookmead Park in March of that year with her parents.
Jonathan, that kid is not supposed to be here.
Well,
I mean, there are a lot of things you could do that would be better than this. I've seen that child in here one too many times, and I am not happy. That child is in danger in here.
Yes, sir. I guess having a father's not that important.
Well, having one and having one that plays the role correctly are two different things.
That DCS investigation stemmed from concerns of Ariel's birth mother and father, where records show they both have criminal backgrounds. DCS investigators say the aunt dropped Ariel off at High Road Place to be with the grandmother a day before Ariel died. In a DCS interview with Ariel's aunt, she reveals she would take Ariel over to High Road multiple times with no concern and didn't think it would be an issue for Ariel to stay there with family.
I think the aunt who took that child back and put her in that situation that she was removed from, where is the justice for that little girl?
Court orders in the file reveal Ariel's parents were supposed to appear before court before they could be granted supervised visits. The grandma had 2 other people take care of Ariel that night, which is ultimately where she died. Investigators say somewhere between midnight and 1 a.m. on November 11, 2022, the sitters moved Ariel from her stroller to the couch and noticed she appeared cold but was breathing. When the caretakers woke up around 10 a.m., the report shows they found Ariel deceased in what DCS calls a drug rehab facility and believe Ariel should not have been staying there. In December of 2023, Metro Police arrested Melissa Sutton and Jesse Mashburn with felony murder charges, where police say they were caring for Ariel when she was found unresponsive. Both have pleaded not guilty. The DCS report shows officers found drug residue in the apartment, drugs out on the table, and needles in a drawer.
It makes me sick because the little girl didn't have a chance.
Officers say the drugs had been within reach of Ariel and later determined the drug residue came back positive for fentanyl, marijuana, and methamphetamines.
Who's going to be next? Your granddaughter? Your grandson?
But just how much fentanyl did Ariel have inside her body? 12 times the lowest reported lethal dose for a little girl who had her whole life ahead of her. And while there is a criminal case, there is also a civil lawsuit filed by Ariel's grandfather. He is suing the facility where Ariel died and the nonprofit running that program. Reporting in the studio, I'm Amanda Chen, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
All right, back to the weather, Katie. As often happens after we have a storm, things cool down a little bit, and that was today.
Yeah, we had brief relief this afternoon. I mean, I was out walking the boys this like 11 o'clock, and normally this time of year I'd be like, absolutely not.
Yeah, couldn't stand it.
It was great outside. I couldn't get over it. Then I realized.
Hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
That was short-lived.
Bye-bye. Yeah, pretty much. We are looking at another sunny day for Thursday. The humidity will start to creep up a little bit for tomorrow, but it's really going to heat up as we head towards Friday and then into the weekend. And it'll continue into next week. It's looking like also in search for rain with this heat, and I'm not going to see much of that either over the course of at least through the next couple of days. Days at or above 90, we are at 26. It does not include today because we hit 89. The average for the year is around 49, so we've got still ways to go. A lot of summer left too. Tomorrow we will probably add to that 90-degree day total for us here. So right around 74 at 8 o'clock. 89 by 1 and should top off in those low 90s and then hang out there for much of the mid to late part of the afternoon, all the while looking at mainly sunny to partly cloudy skies. Now, radar and satellite actually showing fairly quiet conditions here over Tennessee, but a pretty active radar this evening. We've got showers kind of bookend by them here. Showers to our west, showers to our east. Up here again in New England is where the remnants of Beryl continue to bring severe weather to portions of New England that just are not used to that. As we take a look at temperatures going through the morning hours tomorrow, this is right around 10 o'clock for folks in Clarksville, right around 83, Dickson at 84, low 80s to upper 70s out toward the plateau. We head into the afternoon and we will likely see low 90s for the day and hover around that 90-degree mark for the afternoon hours before starting to drop back going into Thursday evening and early Friday morning. I mentioned our rain chances are going to be few and far between. Maybe a stray shower as we get into Monday and Tuesday of next week. Wednesday looking a little more promising, but that's a week away. So unfortunately, the dry air will continue to be around. Humid air will be with us, but the dry soils will be with us. So you'll want to make sure that you're watering the yard and the flowers as you can for the next couple of days. They're definitely going to need it with the heat. Through tomorrow morning, you can see a couple clouds. Future Track insistent on bringing in a stray shower chance. Again, I think most of us do stay dry. Consider yourself lucky if you find one, but I would say your chances are probably less than 10% of seeing a rain chance for tomorrow. Right around 5 a.m. Friday morning, we'll start off with mainly clear skies and we'll do it all over again for the afternoon. We'll talk more about the days that we could reach 100 and later on when we might see a little bit better chance for rain coming up in your Fox 17 Code Red forecast.
In Operation Crime and Justice, an Arkansas family desperate for help turns to Fox 17 News after revealing their mother suffered a mental health crisis and took off with their youngest sister.
Well, the Hollum siblings say their mother's last known location was in Fairview, Tennessee, and tonight they think their 7-year-old sister could be in danger and are baffled that police won't step in and help.
These missing person signs are flooding the internet. It says 48-year-old Katrina Hollum and her 7-year-old daughter Annalise Paget haven't been seen since June. Hollum's grown children say their mother suffers from documented mental health issues, and their last interaction with her caused alarm. Even more concerning, their 7-year-old sister Annalise made a call to her big brother and sisters.
Whenever Annalise called my sister and said she had been left in the car, I called my mom to ask her about that, and she said, I'm right outside the car. And I told her, well, you'll be home in a few days, right? And she was like, yes, for Annalise's counseling appointment, which was July 1st.
Maria Hollum says her mother Katrina didn't pay her cell phone bill, so her phone's been turned off. The family says she rented a car from Enterprise and could be anywhere. When Katrina's daughter filed a missing persons report in Springdale, Arkansas, she couldn't believe the lack of response, especially considering her mother's mental health history and a case that involves a minor.
We're pressuring them, but they haven't thought, I guess, it was in dire need of executing a warrant to Enterprise to get the location of the vehicle, because Enterprise does have trackers in their rental vehicles.
Fox 17 News made calls and left messages with the Springdale Police Department. So far, no answer. Maria Hollum took her family's pleas to Enterprise. She claims that even though the rental car wasn't returned on time, the company told her it takes 2 weeks for an overdue rental to be declared stolen.
It's a little disappointing. They said that they wouldn't give out that information until the vehicle was reported stolen, which they said would happen Friday.
Well, Maria says she won't sleep until she knows that her sister is safe and wants her mother to get professional help. She also hopes sharing her story will shed light on those dealing with missing person cases that are not as straightforward.
Still to come tonight, a game changer. What a new ruling by the U.S. Copyright Office means for the bank accounts of Nashville's.
Well, a number of organizations representing songwriters in the U.S. have applauded the U.S. Copyright Office's ruling, reaffirming termination rights under the Music Modernization Act. And one of those groups located right here in Nashville. Fox 17 News' Madeline Nolan has more on the ruling.
One of the groups at the forefront of this ruling is Nashville Songwriter Association International. And while this can be confusing because the way that songwriters get paid is confusing, I'm going to try to break down this rule as simple as possible. The rule clarifies that songwriters are entitled to collect mechanical royalties from streaming platforms like Spotify, Apple Music, and Amazon Music after their termination rights have been invoked. Now in the U.S., songwriters have the rights to terminate the license after 35 years for works written after 1978. But for years, that only included physical copies like DVDs, records, or cassette tapes. Now, people like Steve Bogart, a songwriter who has 10 #1 hits that you may have grown up with, will now get paid for his work following termination.
Means that the bulk of the income that those songs create will accrue to me or my heirs, my family, my children. So it's my life plus 70 years. So I'd like my kids to be able to benefit from a hit or two that I might have written.
The funds will be released and paid to the songwriters in 90 days who have anxiously been waiting for this ruling to come down. Now, this is only a part in the fight of the streaming era. Songwriters will continue to fight for the right to be included in the free market, allowing them to make more money off of these streaming platforms. In Nashville, Madeline Nolan, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Looking ahead now to the fall and safety improvements at MTSU. Fox 17 News' Johnny Maffey shows us how university leaders are using a nearly $2 million grant to better protect students that will be moving in just a little more than a month.
The most expensive part of the $1.89 million grant MTSU is getting will go to lighting. The parking lots will be brighter with LED lights, and the bus stops will be brighter with some solar-powered lights as well. Radio improvements, adding electronic swipes versus key access to get into buildings, and camera tower trailers are some of the other items in the plan that MTSU Police Chief Ed Kopp says makes things easier implementing with the grant. And big events will also see some safety upgrades with mobile weapon detection devices that the chief explains right here.
You can leave your keys in your pocket. You can have your phones, that type of stuff, where it's not going to get that. It's going to get a weapon. So what we're doing is we're going to have, I'm not going to talk about how many lanes, but we're going to have enough lanes to not stop traffic, basically, to be able to get people in and get people out, no problem, but also to take the extra time to make sure people aren't bringing weapons into our venues.
Again, those devices different from the normal metal detectors, and you can see them right here behind me at the stadiums and at the theaters, as well as they can move around campus. And we will be seeing some of these changes on campus this upcoming fall. At MTSU, I'm Johnny Maffey, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
A very busy Tuesday behind us. Today, much better, quiet, and looking forward, we'll keep the quiet weather around, but it is going to be warming up quite a bit with highs close to 100 as we head towards the weekend. I want to talk briefly here about hurricane structure and how this actually impacted us over the past couple of days. We want to talk about that right front quadrant, which is right here. So that right front quadrant of a hurricane is typically the strongest part of the hurricane, has usually the strongest winds and has the strongest surge as this all again comes on shore. So that's where we tend to get more of the surge. It's also where we tend to get more of the tornadoes that form within a hurricane, or remnants, I should say. So we take a look at the path of Beryl combined with the tornado polygons over the course of the last few days. You can see a ton of them, 90 plus, in fact, in Louisiana, Arkansas, Texas. And then we take a look at the next day here in Nashville, and then the next day today, in fact, through parts of upstate New York. All 3 days featuring tornadoes that were on the right side of remnants from Beryl. So again, when we say we're in that tornado sweet spot, this is what we're talking about here. We're on that right side, and as the remnants march up here to the north and to the east, we end up on that right front quadrant where we still have some tropical characteristics, even though it's not technically a hurricane or even a tropical system as far as a depression or a storm is concerned, but just remnants still. So there's still those tropical characteristics, and that's why we typically find tornadoes on the right side of the storms. Tornadoes in general, though, it's been an active season, a very active spring. To talk more about that, here's meteorologist Brett Luna.
This year sure has been an active one. Earlier this spring, some National Weather Service offices out west of here were just having to issue tornado warnings left and right. This map right here behind me shows how many tornado warnings have been issued by each National Weather Service office since the start of the year, and there have been some offices that have been very busy as well. So one of the ones that I want to get to, though, that was Shreveport, Louisiana. They had their hands full with Hurricane Beryl, at least the remnants, as it moved through. They have now had to issue 100 tornado warnings down there in Shreveport. The most tornado warnings that have been issued by NWS offices, that's in Norman, Oklahoma. That's the heart of Tornado Alley. They've issued 143 tornado warnings just this year. Omaha's issued 123, and then right behind them is the NWS office in Paducah, Kentucky. They do cover part of our viewing area. Some of our counties up there in southwest Kentucky are covered by the National Weather Service office that is in Paducah. Another one, though, that is Shreveport, Louisiana. Again, 100 tornado warnings that they've had to issue. 65 of those were issued just the other day as the remnants of Beryl moved through. And here's the 5 offices that cover our Fox 17 viewing area. The National Weather Service office here in Nashville has issued 41 tornado warnings. They cover all of our counties here in Middle Tennessee with the exception of Henry, Benton, and Decatur counties. Those are covered by Memphis. And then Lincoln, Moore, and Franklin counties, those are covered by the National Weather Service office in Huntsville. Real quick, too, I want to show you this difference. The difference between a tornado watch and a tornado warning. So a tornado watch, that means that conditions are favorable for tornadoes to develop, whereas a tornado warning
There have only been 8 total captains in the history of the Nashville Predators, and that includes number 22, Greg Johnson. Johnson died by suicide in 2019, and today his family announced that he was diagnosed with CTE. CTE is a progressive brain disease that primarily affects people who have suffered concussions or repeated head injuries. After Johnson committed suicide in 2019, his brain was analyzed by Boston University's CTE Center, which diagnosed Johnson with the disease. Johnson spent 12 seasons in the NHL playing for the Red Wings, Penguins, Blackhawks, and the Predators. During his 7-year stretch with the Preds, he scored 93 goals in 502 games. Johnson was also named the club's 2nd captain in team history. Tom Fitzgerald was the franchise's first captain from '98 to 2002. Then Johnson was named captain after him up until 2006 when he retired after an irregular heartbeat was discovered during a physical examination. Preds analyst Robbie Stanley remembers the impact that Johnson had on his team, especially in the early stages of the franchise.
Everybody had great things to say about just the type of player that he was, number one, but also the type of person and leader that he was. So I think Greg Johnson left a huge mark on the franchise in terms of how his leadership style and his impact of how he led guys on the ice kind of rubbed off on some of those other younger players.
According to public records, 17 of 18 NHL players studied in the U.S. and Canada have now been diagnosed with CTE. CTE has been diagnosed in amateur players as well. If you or anyone you know is struggling with suspected CTE symptoms, you can find more information on the CLF helpline on our website at fox17.com. Jill Jolnick, Fox 17 Sports, your Code Red station.
Coming up, talking more about the rain or the lack thereof. We'll talk about when we might see a better chance of showers moving in.
And coming up, the state's bonding office admits to a mistake that a murder victim's father.
Humans are going to make mistakes, but the ball was dropped and somebody was killed. What do you plan to do about that?
Tonight in Operation Crime and Justice, the second in command at the Davidson County Criminal Court Clerk's Office admitting fault and taking the blame after an oversight allowed a suspect to cross county lines into Mississippi, where police say he went on to kill his ex-girlfriend. Fox 17 News' Karen Aguilar broke this story, and tonight she's talking to the agency responsible.
The state's bonding office admitted to the mistake following my line of questioning. And tonight, the chief deputy goes on record to tell us what went wrong and how this tragedy could have been avoided.
Digging into the murder of Lauren Johansson, the pieces started falling together, figuring out how Bryson Rivers managed to cross county lines into Mississippi, now arrested and charged with killing his ex-girlfriend, Lauren. The Warren and Bond Office in charge of sending Bryson's bond conditions to the Davidson County Sheriff's Office failed to do so. The Davidson County Criminal Court Clerk's Office first told us the sheriff's office was aware of the conditions on a phone call Tuesday, telling us this.
They received the conditions, but they did not receive those conditions, Karen, in the normal manner.
After comparing documents and pressing further, that turned out not to be true. This leading to the chief deputy admitting there was a mistake, sitting down with us in person to tell us what happened.
We didn't realize the recognizance package wasn't sent until your question came up.
This recognizance package ordered Rivers to wear an ankle monitor from Tracking Solutions and stay in Davidson County. Because the sheriff's office never received the bond conditions, Rivers was released back on the streets. Because it was after hours, Brooks Bonding Company took Rivers to Freedom Monitoring to get an ankle monitor. That ankle monitor didn't properly track Rivers, and he got away. Signatures shown here suggest all companies knew.
Has put a pall over our office, and I can tell you the supervisor of that office and the person who made the mistake himself are feeling real down right now.
Lauren's father responding to this and taking it a little more personal.
We'll come down here and we'll go see my daughter. She's in a body bag.
How many releases has he screwed up? If he doesn't remember on June 24th that he screwed that up, how many has he screwed up since then?
Well, what he didn't remember is not actually sending the conditions on the release.
Sloss going on to say numerous release orders are sent out, but claims this error is a rare occurrence. How can we prevent this moving forward? He says they are coding the system to not let an employee send a bond release without making sure the bond conditions are approved and followed.
Is there a timeline on when IT can get to coding the system?
They have been told to make that their top priority.
A lot of questions that have been asked have been specifically, the number one question is, what will happen to the deputy clerk who is responsible for making that mistake? Well, Sloss tells me that there will be disciplinary action, but he hasn't answered specifically what that means, if that deputy clerk will still have her job or not. So we're trying to figure things out. But in the meantime, Sloss tells me that next week they will be having a meeting with the Davidson County Sheriff's Office to figure out how things can be prevented on their end too in the future. Reporting in the studio, Karen Aguilar, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Continuing coverage tonight on issues with downtown street vendors. Metro City leaders pushed them out of the entertainment district 2 years ago in the name of safety, but one hot dog vendor is still causing problems. A Fox 17 News investigation found street vendors operating without city permits and in some cases operating without being inspected by the health department. That and complaints about crowded sidewalks prompted the Metro Traffic and Parking Commission to ban all street vendors from Broadway to 8th Avenue. But the problems haven't gone away.
Somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 different violations have been accumulated, and each one of those had a judgment against him from the court. So there's been at least 20 different chances to fix it.
Mina Fareed, the owner of a hot dog vending company called Munchies LLC, is appealing the suspension of his operating permit. He and his employees have been cited 25 times in the past 2 years for everything from playing music, which isn't allowed, to not having the proper permits.
I know I'm not supposed to have the speaker, but everybody walking in downtown want to dance while they're eating their hot dog. And we are in Music City. Why we are not allowed to have speaker.
Another issue, Fareed never appeared in court and didn't pay any of his fines until the commission suspended his license.
We don't want to put you out of business. We just want you to comply with the law. That's all.
After a lengthy hearing, commissioners gave Fareed 30 days to pay his fines and come into full compliance. If he does, he'll be back in business. If not, he could be banned from joining other street vendors for up to a year. Now, you might wonder why Fareed's license wasn't suspended earlier. After all, 25 violations. Well, turns out NDOT doesn't track citations and wasn't aware of those repeated violations until being tipped by Metro Police.
Another quiet overnight for us here with mainly clear skies. In fact, a little bit of patchy fog may be possible as we head through the overnight and into tomorrow morning. Now, as we wake up tomorrow morning here, we will be looking at temperatures mainly in the 70s, right around 70 in fact, with mainly clear skies. Heading into the late morning hours, we're looking at temperatures in those upper 70s with the sunshine around for the entire day. Again, our rain chances are going to be few and far between. So we take a look here at our normal rainfall over the past 30 days. This is going to give us an idea of what is average compared to what we have had over the past 30 days. And you can see here that Nashville's right around 40%. We are looking at fairly dry conditions along and south of 40 and then east to 65. The only area that we have seen a little bit above normal rainfall has been to the north and to the west. Hopkinsville sitting at over 100% as far as what is average compared to what we've had over the past 30 days. I mentioned earlier our rain chances are going to be few and far between. We get into next week, and that may be the time frame that we're looking at least a small chance for showers. So I'm going to walk you forward here to Tuesday of next week, and we go through the afternoon on Tuesday pretty dry. And keep in mind, this is one model run after several that we are looking at for tonight. Can easily change between now and then, but it does look like the potential for at least a little bit more rain could be headed our way by Wednesday the 17th. Scattered showers possible in the afternoon and evening, and then that pattern possibly continues through Thursday afternoon, and then into Friday as well, possibly even going into the weekend next weekend here. So the 8 to 14 day outlook from the Climate Prediction Center takes us from the 18th through that weekend. So they're looking at the 18th of July through the 24th. And right now it's looking like maybe slightly higher than average chances for showers possible, or what is average this time of year. So we will keep our fingers crossed. At least hopefully we'll get some rain headed our way. That'll not be the case though anytime soon. Highs will be close to 100 as we head towards the weekend. The humidity will really start to take hold the later half of the weekend and into early next week. I've gone ahead and issued code red days for at least Monday and Tuesday. We may need to add to that, but for now it's looking like Monday and Tuesday are going to be the couple days that we're going to be feeling that heat, with heat index values 105 to 110.
Thank you, Katie. Up next, how your credit.
In Health News tonight, a new study suggests there may be some financial predictors of cognitive decline. Data from the New York Federal Reserve Bank and Georgetown University show falling credit scores and mortgage delinquencies can be signs of early dementia. On average, their report shows that credit scores start to falter about 5 years ahead of dementia, while mortgage payment slippage comes about 3 years ahead of a diagnosis. Credit card defaults can also increase more than 50% before a full-scale dementia diagnosis. Researchers are hoping to create computer algorithms to help better predict diseases like this.
In the economy, Taco Bell inviting select fans to retire early for a limited time only. The fast food chain is opening up an early retirement community for Taco Bell Rewards members 21 and older. The so-called cantinas will feature aerobics, diverse art, and pickleball in San Diego from August 17th through the 18th. Just a weekend, it sounds like. Members can reserve a day pass for $50 or a weekend pass for $150. Passes will be available on a first-come, first-served basis July 16th. So not a real retirement.
Up next, the Mid-State Animal Shelter depth.
In your community, a Middle Tennessee animal shelter looking for partners to help care for hundreds of animals that need a forever home.
They are so sweet. Staffers at True Rescue in Mount Juliet tell us they have rescued more than 400 animals, and these are among them since the first of the year. These guys in dire need of volunteers and fosters for these animals, but more than anything, they really need somebody to give these animals a permanent home.
For every cat that gets adopted, we're able to bring at least one more in. So for every life you save, that's actually saving the lives of 2.
Amy Simic says that the rescue has become a destination for tourists who are looking to spend a little time with animals as they head to Nashville. The rescue, by the way, is open 7 days a week, and that includes holidays. If you'd like to adopt or make a donation, just go to our website, fox17.com, and click on Fox Links.
This is Fox 17 News at 10, your Code Red station.
We didn't realize the recognizance package wasn't sent until your question came up.
We start tonight with Operation Crime and Justice as the Davidson County Criminal Court Clerk's Office admits to dropping the ball in a criminal case that led to a murder.
Now, police say a series of mistakes and our reporting uncovered allowed a woman charged with a man, I should say, charged with beating his girlfriend, the chance to hunt her down and allegedly kill her. Fox 17 News' Karen Aguilar has been following this story, and she's live in studio with the very latest. Karen?
You know, Scott, what's the worst thing out of all of this is I spoke to the victim's father, who tells me it's one mistake after another. And after a series of days of back and forth finger pointing, the Davidson County Clerk's Office tells me the bond conditions for the murder suspect in this case were not sent to the sheriff's office as they had previously told us. This mistake is a part of a chain of events leading up to Lauren Johansson's murder. After being released from jail here in Nashville, Johansson's ex-boyfriend, Bryson Rivers, is accused of going to Mississippi and killing her. Terms of his bond called for him to wear a GPS monitor. They were not followed. He was supposed to leave the state, not supposed to leave the state, but yet he did. The mistake was the warrant and bond office forgot to share those conditions with the sheriff's office. This admission comes after they showed us a document stating that they did.
Well, obviously something tragic like this where a victim actually lost her life, has put a pall over our office, and I can tell you the supervisor of that office and the person who made the mistake himself are feeling real down right now.
Yeah, and the victim's father's response to that was that the pain that he is feeling does not compare to the pain that the deputy clerk, of course, is facing. And we also asked what his disciplinary action would be. There is going to be something done on that behalf. But moving forward, what can be done to prevent this from happening again? Well, they are going to make sure that the employees who are sending out the release orders have to sign off on the bond conditions before it reaches the Davidson County Sheriff's Office. And we will be continuing to follow this. Reporting live in the studio, Karen Aguilar, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Blatant overcharging and not going by the meters.
Continuing coverage tonight as Metro leaders are taking action after Fox 17 News has been persistently highlighting an issue putting locals and tourists at risk downtown. Nashville taxi companies telling Fox 17 News no one is regulating unlicensed rideshare and taxi drivers. Fox 17 News' Caitlin Miller joining us live in Midtown tonight as city leaders are set to hold a meeting on Friday after seeing our reporting. Caitlin, what's the latest here?
Yes, well, this Friday, the yellow cab taxi manager, along with a Metro councilman, says the TLC is meeting with Metro police, other Metro leaders, and cab companies to finally address all these concerns. Now, this comes after our reporting, relentless follow-ups, trying to get answers for all of these concerned tourists and people who live here. Now, the manager of yellow cab says that this issue is getting out of control because there's no accountability by the Tennessee Licensing Commission. Now, the yellow cab manager wants to see the TLC have employees go out a few times a week, hop in a cab, and see if they turn on the meter and adhere to the laws. And if not, he wants to see their permit suspended or revoked. He says all they have to do is go undercover on Broadway or the airport.
Go to a select destination, and when that driver did not turn on that meter and overcharged them $80 for a $35 run, boom. You just carried an employee of the TLC.
Fox 17 News has requested an interview with the TLC countless times, but they keep declining. And again, because of our reporting, the TLC is meeting with Metro Police, Metro Councilman Jacob Coupin, along with these cab companies to finally address all these concerns that we've been bringing up for the last few weeks. And we will keep you updated with this process. And also, the TLC is hosting a meeting next Thursday with unlicensed taxis on their agenda. Reporting live from Midtown, I'm Caitlin Miller, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Earlier in our newscast, we told you about our X poll up and running right now, asking the question, Does Nashville need more regulations and enforcement on taxis and rideshare? So far, we've had 183 people weighing in on this. 71% of respondents say yes, 29% say no. Each night, look for a brand new poll on our X page that you can participate in.
We have tried to remediate this and met with the City of White House, and so far no resolution has come to fruition.
New tonight, some White House residents, including that woman, increasingly frustrated by the lack of progress to protect their homes from floodwaters. This is Shauna Hurt's home, surrounded by water back in May, and it was flooded again less than 2 months later. Their house is located on Tyson Lane in White House. It's not in the floodplain. Now, Hurt says over the years she has racked up over $100,000 worth of damage.
You have this feeling of hopelessness. You know, on the June 30th flood, I cried for hours as the floodwaters were rising around our property. And then it turned into anger and frustration because 2 days prior to the flooding events, my AC units were just replaced from the May 8th flood. And they were on there for 36 hours before they flooded out again.
Oh, can you imagine? Today, Fox 17 News reached out to the City of White House, asking how they plan to address the flooding in this neighborhood. They tell us they're now working with the Tennessee Emergency Management Agency and the Stormwater Advisory Board, talking about a way to mitigate what's happening there.
Well, the dry weather will be with us for the next several days. We will be focused on heat as we head into the weekend. Tomorrow morning, not too bad. As we step out the door, we'll be looking at maybe some patchy fog in some spots. Other than that, temperatures topping off, or I should say bottoming out around 70. Maybe a few upper 60s around metro area. We'll see mainly sunny skies, though, for the beginning of the day. And 70, really not too bad. We're going to be looking at upper 70s for morning lows as we head deeper into the week and more into the weekend. Right now, sitting at 81, so a very mild night with mainly clear skies around. Again, a bit of fog possible. I don't expect widespread issues, though. Radar still looks fairly quiet for us here in Tennessee. Not the case for folks up in New England. That is where the remnants of Beryl continue to bring severe weather, flooding and tornadoes. Temperatures tonight right around 70 here in Nashville. We'll be down to about 66 in Clarksville, as well as Dickson, Columbia, Murfreesboro, low 60s, Crossville, McMinnville right around 64. We'll talk more about the heat on the way when we could hit 100. That's coming up in your Fox 17 Code Red forecast.
The polls aren't moving in Joe Biden's direction as Democrats still try to figure out their support. I'm Matt Gelka in Washington, and I'll have the latest coming up.
Nearly 22 million children living in America rely on schools for their meals. Fox 17 News and our parent company, Sinclair Broadcasting, are partnering with Feed America for the Sinclair Cares Summer Hunger Relief Program. You can donate by scanning the QR code on your screen or go to sinclaircares.com.
You're watching Fox 17 WZTV Nashville.
Injured in a car crash? The Ponce Crash Cam Network has tapped into traffic cameras in Middle Tennessee, often giving us the proof needed to win your case. So call Ponce Law today, 615-244-4321.
Well, are we ready for this?
What's next, Grandma?
Hayden, do you want to cut the banana?
Okay, let's do it.
Look at him. Now comes the best part, the Bluebell ice cream. Oh, that's fun. Hey, how about some chocolate? And some sprinkles.
How's this, Grandma?
That looks so yummy. You know, your mom is gonna love this. Don't forget a spoon.
Everything about a big truck crash is serious. At Ponce Law, we give these cases the urgent attention they demand. As soon as you call us, our truck response team jumps into action. So if you've been injured, call the real truck lawyers at Ponce Law.
Every genius has a secret weapon, like a superhero wardrobe.
I'm not Sheldon, I'm the Flash. And now I'm going to the Grand Canyon. I'm back.
But these three, like they need a secret weapon.
The drinks at the pool are on these.
The Big Bang Theory.
Tomorrow at 6 on Fox 17.
This Fox 17 newscast is sponsored by Tennessee Homebuyers.
In politics tonight, Democratic leaders remain divided over whether President Biden should suspend his re-election campaign.
And as Fox 17 News' Matt Galka reports, former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is now publicly weighing in. By the way, you can let us know what you think by scanning the QR code that will appear here shortly on your screen during this story.
Overwhelming support.
Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi did not commit to Joe Biden's candidacy when she was asked about it Wednesday.
It's up to the president to decide if he is going to run. We're all encouraging him to make that decision because time is running short.
But the president has said he's staying in the race multiple times. Pelosi seemed to suggest that Democrats stick to a wait-and-see approach.
Whatever he decides, we go with. I think it's really important, and I would hope everyone would join in, to let him deal with this NATO conference.
The comments didn't make the picture for Democrats clearer on where support for the president stands. Members who have come out against him have cited voter concerns on his age and viability. And voters have been hit with multiple reports about Biden needing more sleep or going to bed early, prompting national security concerns. His team says he's up to the job.
If the national security team needs to get to the president, they get to the president. And it doesn't matter what the hour on the clock says. He's always there. He's always available.
In a tweet, New York Democrat Richie Torres said his party needs a reckoning with the down ballot effect of whomever we nominate. What matters is not how we feel, but what the numbers tell us. Recent polls are not moving the Democrats' way. The Cook Political Report now says 3 safe Democratic states, Minnesota, New Hampshire, and part of Nebraska, have become less safe in their latest rankings. And they move 3 toss-up swing states, Arizona, Georgia, and Nevada, to lean Republican this week. And it's not just battlegrounds. Biden is starting to show weakness in other states that haven't voted Republican in decades, like New York, Virginia, and New Jersey, adding to the post-debate Democrat panic. Reporting in Washington, I'm Matt Galka.
Now, during this story, we had a QR code up linking you to a poll asking whether you think President Biden's mental fitness creates a national security risk. 812 people have weighed in, so a lot of people. 88.1% say yes, we think it does. 11.9% say no. Our thanks tonight for all who took time to vote.
In politics, the U.S. House of Representatives passing a bill requiring people to show proof of citizenship to vote. The SAVE Act passing through the Republican-led chamber on mostly party lines. Only 5 Democrats voting in favor of the bill. The legislation would force voters to prove their citizenship during registration for federal elections. One Republican lawmaker says the measure will help make sure November's election is fair.
And we should, of course, require that people be citizens. It raises a question. The Democrats don't want to require that voters are citizens. You have to wonder what their motivation is.
The bill now heads to the Senate, controlled by the Democrats. It's unlikely to pass through that chamber. Democrats say the bill is unnecessary because it's already a felony to vote in federal elections as a non-citizen.
I'm Atrell Nashar on Capitol Hill with how the head of the Federal Reserve is responding.
In the economy tonight, the Federal Reserve Chair is addressing lawmakers on Capitol Hill as questions loom about the future of interest rates.
As Fox 17 News author El Nashar reports, now this comes as some congressional Republicans call for an overhaul of the Fed's responsibilities.
In the labor market,
Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell giving Congress a read on the economy during a volatile time for inflation, interest rates, and politics.
we're growing at around 2%, it feels like. Inflation is down to 2.6%. Unemployment's at 4.1%. These are good numbers.
But he's aware that as painful as inflation is, the Fed's high interest rates come with their own sting, making it more expensive for individuals and businesses to borrow money.
To bring inflation down, the Fed has been working on with restrictive policy on cooling demand. That has been working, and the supply side has been healing.
Moody's Analytics chief economist Mark Zandi says now is the time for the Fed to cut rates, arguing a steady rise in unemployment and declining inflation makes it hard to justify a restrictive 5.5% federal funds rate. Only one rate cut is expected this year, likely not until September at the earliest. Powell, who holds firm the Fed's apolitical role, is also confronted with a conservative proposal to eliminate the Fed's dual mandate of price stability and maximum employment detailed in Project 2025, the Heritage Foundation's blueprint for a Republican-led federal government. Former President Trump has tried to distance himself from Project 2025, but its proposed Fed overhaul was written by Paul Winfrey, who served as a top domestic policy official in the Trump White House. Accusing the Fed of operating on political motives, Winfrey writes, the only permanent remedy is to take the monetary steering wheel out of the Federal Reserve's hands and return it to the people.
Having an independent central bank is really essential. If you want to have high and volatile inflation, then the quickest road to that would be to undermine the independence of the central bank.
Powell once again telling lawmakers he and his colleagues are encouraged by recent inflation reports, but they still need more proof inflation is falling, and that could come as soon as Thursday with the release of June's Consumer Price Index. On Capitol Hill, I'm Atrell Nashar.
We did get one confirmed tornado from yesterday's tornado event here in Middle Tennessee, and that one happened in Cumberland County, Kentucky, near Ferris Fork Road. Traveled just under a mile with max wind speeds at 85 miles per hour. So we did end up with one confirmed tornado from yesterday's event. Weather headlines as we head into the next few days. We are looking sunny for Thursday. Temperatures right out of maybe a few degrees warmer than where we were today. We ended up at 89 this afternoon. I think we'll top off in the low 90s for tomorrow. Heating up for sure as we head towards the end of the week, with temperatures approaching the upper 90s, close to 100, and all the while we continue our search for rain. Temperatures here for Thursday right around 83 at 10 o'clock. Mainly sunny skies will be the story for the afternoon, and we should top off in those low 90s for the day. Humidity will be bearable. It'll start to feel a little more sticky as we get towards the weekend, and eventually in early next week, heat index values will become dangerous for us with 105 to 110 possible. That's also going to be where we have a little bit better chance for rain, at least a chance for rain. Not a great one though. 20% for Monday and Tuesday, and into Wednesday looking at about a 30% chance for showers. We take a look at Thursday here morning, and we are looking at maybe a cloud or two, maybe even some spots of fog for tomorrow morning. And we get into the afternoon hours, we'll start to see some puffy cumulus clouds. Our fair weather cumulus clouds develop for the afternoon hours. Future Track is insistent on bringing in a stray shower. The majority of us stay dry. I think it's less than a 10% chance that you'll see a rain shower. And as we get into Thursday night, we will look at mainly clear skies, and into Friday, we'll do it all over again as far as the cloud cover and the lack of rain is concerned. 70 our temperature for the overnight. Not too bad considering we'll be in the mid to upper 70s for overnight lows going forward into the weekend. A couple clouds possible. A little bit of fog for tomorrow morning too. Heat index values for tomorrow should be in the upper 90s. We'll see the actual high top off right around 92, and tomorrow of the next 7 days will be the coolest by far. We're at 96, I should say, for Friday, 98 on Saturday, Sunday at 99. Heat index values will be around 104. I went ahead with code red for Monday and Tuesday just because that humidity will continue to rise, and by early next week we will likely be in that 105 to 110 range for heat index. So that will definitely warrant code red days. Sunday right now kind of a swing day, so we may need to add to our code red days, but for now we'll keep it Monday to Tuesday. 100 degrees possible. We could reach it Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday of next week.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
This Louisiana church was severely damaged by a tornado spawned by Beryl. The powerful winds carried the steeple half a mile away, dumping it in a nearby field. Vacation Bible class for kids was supposed to be held there that night, but it was canceled over the threat of tornadoes. Meantime, portions of South Bend, Indiana and Kalamazoo, Michigan are still flooded from Beryl's remnants.
For more content like this, like the National Weather Desk on Facebook.
And you can see more weather stories like this every weekday morning on the National Weather Desk. It starts at 8 a.m.
There have only been 8 total captains in the history of the Nashville Predators, and that includes number 22, Greg Johnson. Johnson died by suicide in 2019, and today his family announced that he was diagnosed with CTE. CTE is a progressive brain disease that primarily affects people who have suffered concussions or repeated head injuries. After Johnson committed suicide in 2019, his brain was analyzed by Boston University's CTE Center, which diagnosed Johnson with the disease. Johnson spent 12 seasons in the NHL playing for the Red Wings, Penguins, Blackhawks, and the Predators. During his 7-year stretch with the Preds, he scored 93 goals in 502 games. Johnson was also named the club's second captain in team history. Tom Fitzgerald was the franchise's first captain from '98 to 2002. Then Johnson was named captain after him up until 2006 when he retired after an irregular heartbeat was discovered during a physical examination. Preds analyst Robbie Stanley remembers the impact that Johnson had on his team, especially in the early stages of the franchise.
Everybody had great things to say about just the type of player that he was, number one, but also the type of person and leader that he was. So I think Greg Johnson left a huge mark on the franchise in terms of how his leadership style and his impact of how he led guys on the ice kind of rubbed off on some of those other younger players.
According to public records, 17 of 18 NHL players studied in the U.S. and Canada have now been diagnosed with CTE. CTE has been diagnosed in amateur players as well. If you or anyone you know is struggling with suspected CTE symptoms, you can find more information on the CLF helpline on our website at fox17.com. Jill Jonlick, Fox 17 Sports, your Code Red station.
If you are noticing sort of a heaviness in your legs or an achiness at the end of the day, you might be in need of vein therapy. I'm Liz Bonus. Why it's not just cosmetic. That is just ahead.
Hey there, I'm Jennifer Waddell from Fox 17 News this morning. Do you have trouble remembering to pay your bills? A new study says certain financial habits could be connected to overall brain function.
In health news tonight, if you have bulging and unsightly veins in your legs, getting them treated is about a lot more than just vanity.
Well, as Fox 17 News medical reporter Liz Bonus explains, your leg veins can point to a bigger health concern.
Hey there, everybody. If you notice sort of a heaviness or an achy feeling in your legs that seems to gradually get worse throughout the day, don't assume it's just the way you're supposed to feel. Little vein therapy, one woman says, changed her life.
You know, I didn't really realize how heavy my legs felt until they're fixed. I was a hairstylist for almost 40 years, so I did a lot of 12, 14-hour days and didn't really realize.
Sharon Hibbs had a problem vascular surgeon Dr. Andy Hearns says is common in as many as 1 in 3 people. It's called vascular insufficiency.
It's a form of poor circulation that involves the veins. Some leaky valves in the veins often cause reflux or backwards flow, and patients sense that by experiencing heaviness, aching, swelling, discoloration.
As he showed us then on another patient, it can be treated with the help of what's called radio frequency ablation.
And we can do that with good results because the anatomy is like a circular spider web of the veins. It's a network. So if we eliminate 1 or 2 of the threads of that network that are refluxing or flowing backwards, that diverts blood flow into the healthy paths that already exist.
To perform RFA, as it's called, the area of treatment is numbed and a tiny needle is attached to a tube that's inserted in the leg. On the end is a tip that uses radio frequency energy to heat and damage the walls of the veins and close them off.
As a result, the legs look better, less swollen, less discolored, less bulgy veins on the surface. So we get a good aesthetic result as well as a good functional result.
For Sharon, in just a few months, she says it's worked.
This has just been wonderful. I mean, I don't use the word miracle very often, but it's almost like it's a miracle how much better my legs feel.
Now, in most cases, this kind of therapy is covered by your medical insurance plan, but in some cases, you may need prior authorization with your health insurer. With your health news, I'm Liz Bonus reporting.
And the heat is on?
Yeah, tomorrow, not too bad. We'll be around 92, bearable, but it'll be easily the coolest day of the next 7 as we reach close to 100.
Say that again.
Bearable. It's not what I